Original audio.
Turn it up, let's ride.
DJ Latin Prince.
See, act a fool worldwide. This that original audio. From the headlines to the show. See, talk truth is factual. Act a fool, keep it laughable.
DJ Latin Prince got the vibe on lock. From the south to the bay to the New York block. Original audio, say the name, don't stop. Original audio, this the one shot.
Hey y'all, hey y'all.
Centric, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are at. Good morning and good afternoon and welcome.
Happy Sunday.
Happy
Sunday.
What's been up this week, guys?
You know,
A
snow.
week away. We have Ricky with us today instead.
LP taking a little mini vacay.
Mini vacation.
Mhm.
Must be nice, LP.
You know, you never know. He might pop up in here anywhere. So. But yeah, shout out to him, man. I know, man. But the news, I tell you, I
It's
don't know.
been crazy.
We want to start on that. So how's it looking?
So we did a lot of things this week. We went in, attacked Iraq. They retaliated. There's a lot of people stuck in Dubai right now, from what I understand.
Some have come back from Dubai.
Did you have a friend, Fool, that was stuck?
I'd say an associate. I wouldn't say a friend. Her and her husband were on their honeymoon. They recently got married and went to Dubai.
Oh wow!
And they posted several videos of them, basically, I'd say panicked about the entire circumstance. And they've posted some videos that they made their way to Washington and then finally made their way over to Tampa, where they are from. But they posted lots of videos about what they saw and what they experienced, on their end, especially for a honeymoon, and yeah, it's definitely a interesting and troubling time. I'll say that.
Yes. So you got escalating global tensions. You got strikes coming back. I saw a video the other day of Iran basically saying, we don't want to negotiate anymore. We were trying to negotiate, and in the middle of all of these things, every single time we're at the table, we get attacked. So now just come on in is basically what they're saying. Knowing our armed forces, I don't think you want that, but they're saying they welcome it now. So we shall see how that all unfolds. Meanwhile, the UN Secretary General is condemning the US and Israel and their approach to this situation. And lots of people around the world also are sharing similar sentiments. So again, we'll see how that unfolds. But it is definitely having an impact. People are upset. People are speaking out, to include, there's a video on, I'm sure you probably saw it on your feed, of a Marine who is speaking out.
Yes.
I'm going to play a little bit of that, and then we can talk through that. I know you're a Marine, Ricky, so this is going to
Very
hit
touching.
This could be a little triggering for some.
Yeah, trigger warning. I know it's triggering for me, so I'm going to look away, but I'm going to put this. Here you go.
Israel is the reason for this war. America does not want to fight this war for Israel. Let's go. Come on, let's go. America does not want to send its sons and daughters to war for Israel. Your inability to name that shows your ineffectiveness as leaders. This is wrong. No. And nobody wants to fight for Israel. A reminder to all of our Commandant, please stand up as a Marine and stand up for America. No one wants to fight for Israel.
I guess it mutes me when can you hear me now? Weird. But yeah, cutting that off before you hear his arm break in the door. And I think it's just indicative of where we are right now. And unfortunately, I don't feel that any of our service members should be treated that way. They've certainly earned the right to speak, more so than the rest of us. So.
You go.
Hey,
there. There you are. There.
It's the magic of the hands. Thank you.
I know. It's that little red thing over the microphone, some kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the highest disrespect is what just took place there. Forgot his name, his Colonel, forgot his General Colonel Kelly, him too. These are gentlemen that have been through every administration probably in the last 3 or 4 decades. And it's all about the country. It's not about the party, but it's totally changed now. I can get deep in that, but this was set back in the Patriot Act a few administrations ago. It was basically the excuse to go in, and then now giving them the executive power to the highest order. I've just never seen this before, but we knew this is coming, and there's a word for it, and people don't want to buy into New World Order, but it's true. It's if you look at his approach, if you look at all the different countries, what does it remind you of in the 40s?
For me, the distinction is it's beyond politics, and Fool and I were talking about this the other day. I'm not political in the sense that I care for one party or the other, sure. Though my views tend to skew and align more with one than the other. But I'm more human rights. It's a human rights issue for me. Sure. It's a rights laid out in the Constitution are rights laid out in the Constitution. And, sure. That's where I'm always going to fall. I'm going to fall on the side of children. I'm going to fall on the side of protecting the people who can't protect themselves, people with disabilities, all of those things. So that's where I land. I don't feel it's a political thing. I feel it's completely a human rights thing. And this man's rights were clearly violated, especially since he's served his country honorably.
Sure.
But moving on to the next little bit, which is the more fun stuff with Fool. And I didn't play my intro music, but I got you on yours, okay? You ready?
I need no music.
Nice head back to Medellin.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is entertainment news. That's right. Sure. With your host, whoever his name is. So in entertainment news, we don't have much, but what we have is very entertaining, for Harry Styles from One Direction. He opened up the 2026 Brit Awards with his new song that I took an opportunity to listen to called Aperture. Mm-hmm. It's not my cup of tea, but apparently it was definitely entertaining for those who listened to it. I gave it a couple listens, and again, it's not my cup of tea, but it's also not my genre that I gravitate towards. But I like One Direction as a group, mm-hmm. And unfortunately, they had a group member that, unalived himself. And so, as far as that goes, in the scope of, entertainment news and music, Harry Styles got a new project coming out. So they rolled it out at the Brit Awards. He played his single. Some people enjoyed, others did not. And we'll move on from Harry Styles and the Brit Awards. Now, the other entertainment news that I'm a big TV film buff, and I like Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling's got a new movie called Project Hail Mary, and the premise is the world is at stake and the sun is dying, and we need somebody to get the sun back running, basically, or else the fate of the galaxy. I love those storylines. I mean, they come quite
like
often,
this
right?
storyline hasn't been done before.
Yeah. Right? You know, so you got the storyline, the fate of the world. We need that person or the group of people that can go out into space and right whatever wrong that's occurring. And he runs into an alien, you know, and that alien's galaxy is also in trouble, and they have to find a way to learn how to communicate and also work together in order to save both their galaxies. And when you see the trailer is reminiscent of Armageddon, right? Because you got the fate of the world, right? And then you also have it's reminiscent of, what's the movie with Tom Hanks where he's stuck, where the plane crashes and it's just him and a ball named Wilson?
Oh,
Castaway.
Castaway,
Castaway.
right? Because when you see Wilson,
Yeah, that ball becomes everything to him, man.
right. And so Gosling's character bonds once they learn how to communicate with this alien. And so for some reason, Ryan Gosling potentially may not be able to return back to Earth, and the alien's saying, I won't let that happen to you. And then this, you know, the same thing is foreshadowed for that alien. And so he wants to save that alien because he's made a new, you know, alien friend, you know. So the overall premise is something that we've heard before, we've seen before, but for those who enjoy sci-fi, this is going to be another one that people are going to go watch because it's Ryan Gosling, Disney kid, right?
So it's Castaway meets End of Days.
Castaway meets End of Days meets Armageddon meets Aliens, you know, and so it looks good. I'd watch it, you know, and so they're slating it as one of the more, you know, big sci-fi movies that Hollywood is banking on. You know, that it's going to make that noise, that's going to generate, you know, the funds that, you know, most producers and production companies seek when they put together a film. And the movie's called Project Hail Mary. So anybody that wants to go check it out, go to YouTube and you can check out the trailer and see if it's something that you're interested in. So as far as, you know, film buzz, Project Hail Mary seems to be something that people are really looking forward to. As far as music, Harry Styles put out some music. It got rolled out in the Brit Awards. The single Aperture's out. If anyone wants to go take a listen, they could listen to it on all your, you know, streaming platforms. And other than that,
what are you watching? What are y'all watching on TV, on the stream services? One of the many. I don't have cable, so I can't say channel, but like I'm watching Cross. That season just came out recently, and then Don't Laugh at Me. But Bridgerton, amazing. This season's so good.
Don't. Interesting.
I don't watch that.
I'm watching Night Agent. I'm just a Night Agent fan.
Night Agent? I saw the first season. I thought it was good.
The new season?
I'm watching the one that just came out. I think it's the third or something like that or whatever. And it's just, I'm a fan of a certain cast member on there, you know.
Okay.
Is she still Rodriguez? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I love the girl who was on the.
You know, I'm working on that interview, by the way, so I already sent the message to her.
Very nice, very nice.
I want to get
me
the actress from New Zealand. She was on the first one.
Oh,
she was the main character, or one of the main characters in the first season.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to catch up to my first time watching.
Chief of War as well.
Okay.
Interesting. Chief of War. Because when you say Chief of War, I recently went to Netflix and checked out War Machine with the guy who plays I forget the name of the guy, but it's in this Netflix movie original called War Machine, where again an alien or aliens come to the planet and we have to defend the planet, you know. So I mean, that's what I'm watching. But other than that, I'm a when it comes to shows and series, I'm a Chicago PD type of guy, Law and Order SVU type of guy. That's what I'm normally watching. So, but entertainment news, I think it's really difficult to focus on any other news than what's going on in the world, because a lot of it is very, I don't want to say new, but it is not necessary. It's not as familiar for a lot of people, and so there's a lot of confusion. And so these things like music and entertainment give us an opportunity to escape the reality for a little bit. But it's a lot going on, man. It's really a lot going on.
It's a lot. And, the entertainment's like any other news, unless you're following that specific topic of news, whether it's the algorithm will catch you with all the entertainment news or the wars. And I think since we're living in such a direct to fan world, social media, like that news is so saturated to the actual fans of One Direction and Matt Bunny, which if anyone's following him, they learned about the breaking news in Tokyo with a $1 billion fan club that he's in with Spotify, and did breaking records over there. But it's really now geared towards the direct fan of that audience now, of that specific artist. So
yeah, you get is for you, right? I mean, it's the reason it's called a For You page. It's
exactly
you on the platform longer so they could sell ads, essentially, right?
There's artists out there selling out their concerts with just their For You audience. I mean, there's and there's some artists out there, like from Dominican Republic, Alafa. He requires no investors. It's his money reinvested. He goes directly to his For You fans on Instagram and all his platforms, and sells on Madison Square Garden without the need of Ticketmaster. It's pretty insane. So some of those do have that kind of following. Powerful, very powerful. Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking at this post the other day, and it basically said, it feels just surreal going to Starbucks and grabbing a coffee with my kid, dropping them off at school. Meanwhile, there's so many moms huddled trying to protect their kids.
Sure.
And so the juxtaposition of our day-to-day here and the global context in which it's happening, it's a lot.
Let me say that I don't appreciate you using words that I don't know.
She went all in on the dictionary.
Now we got to dig into
my good old Texas UT education, sir.
A juxtaposition. So what position?
Juxtaposition.
What position? We talking about quarterback, running back? What we talking about? Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. You gotta put this up somewhere. Word of the day.
I'm gonna start doing like dictionary moments.
Hey,
I love words.
Yes, Lord.
Yes, I love that.
The hardest thing for me, and when I was going through my public affairs training, was journalism. And the reason why is because they kept telling me, like, you need to write at an 8th grade level. And I said, it's been a long time since I've been in 8th grade. I can't. There's a better word for that. There's so many words.
Yeah. What's the other one? Onus. On what? Onus. It's on onus. Who's onus?
What is it on? You.
Yeah, we're gonna need you see the little boxes to the right and the left. We're gonna need vocabularies on both sides of them. So these are the words of the day.
The word of the day is children.
Onus. There you go.
That'll be on your list there, see.
One word or the other.
That'll be your word of the day list.
Yes, sir.
Right. All right. Well, I think we can go ahead and bring our special guest on today.
Yes, for all the unhealthy.
Because y'all know I stay.
Everybody's like getting ready for this one.
My biceps don't compare to his, but I'm getting there. We have Ryan Blakely on with us today. He's a health and fitness coach. He has trained at the Citadel previously. He was in law enforcement. He has a lifelong career in things and related to physical fitness, and is an expert in his own right. He's helped probably hundreds of people by now become the best versions and the most optimized versions of themselves. So really excited to have him on today. Without further ado, Ryan, how are you?
Guys?
What's happening, sir? Good morning.
Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. This is amazing.
Thank you.
We've been working out low key, getting ready for today. So this shoulder hurts a little bit. You see me twitching. That's kind of
I feel you. We'll talk about the shoulders. I can empathize with that pretty good.
I say that he's been working out.
What's a theater in the mind here? Trying to add a little bit.
Hey, you've been doing your burpees, fool.
I know.
Yep.
You get on plate. You do your 50 burpees every day, or what is it?
100
burpees.
Oh, wow, okay, let's go.
Yeah, I told him no, thank you. I'm not doing burpees.
Yeah, hating on burpees. Burpees is the best. Okay.
We will
burpees and bear
we'll get an expert opinion on whether burpees are the best.
Okay, for sure. I will listen with intent.
There you go. I like that.
So Ryan, tell our audience a little bit about yourself. I kind of gave them the Cliff's Notes version, but how did you get into this space?
So I played lacrosse my whole life. I'm from Maryland, and if you don't really play lacrosse, here in Maryland, you don't really play any sports. And I went down to the Citadel and went down there for college in South Carolina, right there in Charleston, which if you haven't been to Charleston, it's absolutely amazing. And I played lacrosse down there, did really well with it. And when I got out of college and I got into law enforcement, I really couldn't play lacrosse. I was playing some clubs and some men's league, and I was on the SWAT team, so I was always getting called out. I was always on training. I really couldn't make a lot of the practices. So I was trying to find something that I could do where I could still kind of be competitive, still kind of keep, in shape and still do the things I love to do. And I kind of just fell into bodybuilding through a couple guys at the gym. I used to always see that like in magazines growing up. And, I used to lift down the basement with like posters of like Arnold and Lou Ferrigno and all the old school guys. And when I got to this one gym in Charleston, it was Trey's gym, and they were all bodybuilders. Actually, Trey was a Citadel grad, and I was seeing these guys, and I'm like, holy crap, like these are like the physiques I used to see in these magazines. Like I didn't even know this was like real life. And I found out they all competed in bodybuilding, and I kind of got in with a couple of groups of them. And it just kind of worked for my schedule, because if you could just have off on your show day, as long as you trained, which could be like your practice, whether it was morning, evening, didn't matter what shift I was on, you can make your show day. You could still kind of do something like that. You could still be competitive and still, compete. So I got into bodybuilding, and I loved it. I just was very amazed on how the human body was able to transform and just change just through diet and consistency and training. And it just amazed me. So I did my first show. I was like 176 pounds, like completely emaciated, but the experience, it changed my entire life. So once I got into that, of course, once you get yourself in pretty good shape and you do certain things to extremes, everybody around you is like, what are you doing? How do you do it? And I just, got into it a little bit more aggressively and kept kind of going with it. And then at that point, it just really kind of took off for me. And it was one of those things for me that just kept me very locked in, very disciplined. I love the routine. I love the consistency. And it transferred over into how I was as a law enforcement officer, how I carried myself, around my friends, my people, the community. And I really liked what it did for me, not just with bodybuilding and obviously how I looked, but kind of how it gave me all this confidence, and it just gave me a lot of perspective on health and fitness and a lot of that. So I enjoyed it and I stuck with it, and it just literally became just part of my lifestyle at that point. And I mean, ever since then, it's just been something that I've always had a very, very strong passion for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's how we kind of all fall into, you just go to the gym and you meet that one person that's like,
Yep.
I want to look, or I want to look like that. I want to be like that. Or that person's so locked in, and it's infectious.
And that's one of the things, I tell a lot of people is like, you really never know who's watching, because everybody's got a fan, right? When you're in the gym, like somebody's looking at you, you may not feel like you're doing much, or, we all have these certain expectations of ourselves and hold ourselves to these high standards. And sometimes we don't feel like we rise to those, but there's always someone in there that's watching, so everybody, your motivation to everybody at some point. And you never really know. And it just takes one person to change your entire life, and I just think that health and fitness in that aspect is amazing.
Absolutely.
That is amazing. I've noticed that you have a past in the military and the police, of course, the peace officer. Did that training all together kind of like give you a certain mindset as you go into your training modes? Because for a lot of people, it's like they start, they don't finish, like trying to find that consistency where they can stay within their lane and be patient enough to see change happen.
100%. And that's why the company that I have is called TPC, for time, patience, consistency. But, when with the training and, being in, some of the realms that I've been in through law enforcement and being overseas and whatnot, it's all correlates. It's all synergistic because it's all mindset, it's all discipline, it's all consistency. And when you learn to show up for yourself in one aspect, you learn to show up for yourself in all aspects, no matter what you do. So like, for instance, like with the gym, when you're competing, and I know we'll talk about bodybuilding here in a little bit, but the consistency it gives you, the discipline it gives you, like when you learn that you can actually hold yourself to those standards and you can do the things that you thought you couldn't do, it carries over into every other aspect of your life. So to me, the bodybuilding discipline, the bodybuilding consistency, that carried over to how I was with, law enforcement and SWAT and things I did overseas. And I feel like those things also kind of transferred over to bodybuilding where, again, it's all a mindset. And they all brought different kind of variables of a mindset to the table. But when you put them all together, at the end of the day, it creates such a strong sense of ownership and confidence that you learn to carry that into everything that you do. And then, hopefully you can instill that into other people, which is why I got into coaching. So I think they are very, very synergistic. I think the professional world and then the bodybuilding world, to me, they just kind of fed off each other for sure.
Yeah, that sense of accomplishment you're talking about and that sense of, I can do this. I remember the first time I did a pull-up because I could never do one in my life. And I could do it unassisted. I was so excited. The way I jumped up and down.
Hey, I'm a big fan. You got to celebrate all your wins, no matter how big or how small. You get a win. You celebrate it. I love that. That's awesome.
So what you got, Akafu, man? Are you do pull-ups with your hands like this or hands forward? Which one do you do?
I don't do pull-ups. I don't do pull-ups. I don't do pull-ups, sir. I don't do pull-ups. I told you, it's bear crawls and burpees and anything. Like right now, I'm currently trying to get into a mode of strengthening my quadriceps, my hamstrings, my calves.
Nice.
Anything lower body, because I ruptured my Achilles tendon in 2019, and had to go through the whole process of rehab, and so I learned over time how weak my left leg got from atrophy and not using it for the amount of time that the cast is on, and then the PT in order to regain use of that leg and that Achilles tendon. So my focus isn't upper body. My focus is mainly, abs all the way down. So I don't even really worry about pull-ups and upper body. I really focus on trying to regain strength and continuing to strengthen my lower half, because I walk a lot, I carry stuff every day, and I want to maintain that part as much as possible.
It's one of the biggest signs of longevity too, is how big your legs are. It'll determine how long you live. So that's actually
part of that.
What you just said is something that popped in my feed for my Instagram, and ever since I heard that, I was like, I want to get some tree trunks. I want to make these things.
You and me both.
Right? I want some massive
glutes, though. Even the guys got to hit the glutes.
Yeah. Well, the glutes is another conversation because what's it called? TMI. My glutes are already large since I was a kid, right? And I used to get teased a lot. They were like, "Damn, big booty on the back, booty." I was surprised. What the hell is going on? Like I told C, there was a girl in freaking junior high school. Every day when I walked into class, booty on the back. It's like, what is wrong with you? Leave me and my glutes alone. Well, at the time I didn't know they were glutes, so right. And the thing is, I love squats. I love leg day, anyways. So. When I heard that about, the people who live longer, hey, I know we all gonna leave here one day. I am fine with understanding that. But if I can extend it as much as possible, I like breathing. So
longevity is key.
Yeah. So if I gotta make the quads, the glutes, the hamstrings, and even the small tendons around the knees, the back of the knees, the calves, the tibialis, all that stuff, that's what I'm after in this chapter of my life, is just making those things large and maintaining, and then still maintaining flexibility.
True.
And you keyed in on recovery, right? I think that's something that, I'm guilty of not, even just on a day-to-day basis, not having enough recovery. Ryan and I spoke about that a little bit before.
Yeah, you did.
But that whole process, I don't think people realize, like, slowing down is sometimes the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
And just understanding that you have to take that time to rebuild. And I know, Ryan, you went through a shoulder surgery fairly recently.
I've had 6 my entire life through this whole space. How honestly I'm even able to do the things that I do or look the way that I look is crazy to me. And then this past June, I actually had my right shoulder replaced. So that's why I was saying earlier when we talked about shoulders, right? I was like, I can empathize with that wholeheartedly.
Like replaced, like sockets.
I got a whole titanium ball in here right now. Yep.
Wow. You can't go through the airport.
Actually, you know what's funny? I did get
Sir, could you move to the side, sir? You need to check you, sir.
What do you have underneath your skin? Well, I'm bionic a little bit. No, but seriously, I tell people it's like, it's good to have an extension of your life, but the quality of that extension, it's got to be. You want to be able to use your knees. People forget about their knees. They forget about using their body functions. They think, oh, I just need to lose weight. I'm gonna look in the mirror. Okay, I've lost weight. You don't have a chance to see the mirror on the inside.
Yep.
And that longevity is building your immunities, fighting things, eating well. It starts with consumption, and you have to be able to feed your body in order to go through the workouts and be able to sustain yourself.
Nutrition is number one, nutrition first out of everything, and I talk to the people about this all the time because, everybody is so pressed on, I can't miss a workout. And in my mind, miss the workout. That's fine. That's just a recovery day, but you got to stay locked in on the nutrition because the nutrition is what changes the physique. The nutrition is what changes your health, right? You could, as an example, you could skip a whole week's worth of workouts, right? If you're locked in on your nutrition, you can still change. You can still make progress. You can still do, the things you're trying to do. But if you skip out on your nutrition for a week, but you hit the gym hard, that's not going to level out. So nutrition needs to be first and foremost in everybody's baseline. And then the training, obviously I'm big into training. I'm not saying don't train because that's a very, very important piece of the puzzle. And I think a lot of people don't really train. They just work out, and that's a whole different thing. But the nutrition first, you got to lock in on the nutrition. That is the driver that is going to change your physique, change your health, change everything. And a lot of people have it kind of backwards in my mind.
Expound on that statement.
Okay.
A lot of people exercise, but they don't train. What's the discernment? What's the separation?
So, a lot of people, they'll go to the gym and they go through the motions and they train, or they don't train. They work out or they follow a plan. And a lot of people, whether they're working with a coach or whether they're working on something they got online or at this point ChatGPT or whatever people are using, they go in and they're like, hey, I hit my 4 sets of 12 on this exercise. I hit my 4 sets of 12 on this exercise. I did this. I walked on the treadmill and then I left. But there's no change. There's no elevated heart rate. There's no stimulus. There's no sweat. And they're just going through the motions. When you go into the gym to train, and I kind of use the example, I tell a lot of my clients, I'm like, did you change the color of your t-shirt? Did your t-shirt go from light gray to dark gray? Did you, go from, black to jet black? Did you put in enough work? Because, even for the females, you got to train hard. There's that saying out there, can't shine a diamond without friction, right? You got to put in the work, male, female, it doesn't matter. And, a lot of people, like I said, they kind of go through the motions and, they're in there and they're moving. And anyone that's in the gym, I respect. I think it's awesome. But those that really want change, those that really want to see a dramatic difference or get that transformation that everybody's searching for, that perfect body, they have to train, and they have to train hard because you have to create enough stimulus to actually change. And that's where, people kind of fall short because, I get a lot of guys, or even, again, females who are just across the board, they're like, yeah, I'm training 6-7 days a week. And I read this on their questionnaire and I'm like, I'll be very honest with you, because I'm very direct as a coach. And, I'll tell them, if you can train 6 or 7 days a week, you're not training hard enough because your body's going to let you know you need those days off. And if you're training hard enough, 4 to 5 days a week, and you're getting a little bit of muscle soreness, you're getting a little bit of fatigue, that's what's going to change the physique. You have to put in enough effort to actually create enough stimulus for change. And then kind of Crystal was talking about, when you have these rest days, these recovery days, that's when the body grows. So the days you're training, train as hard as you can, as hard as you want, push the needle, push the envelope, really put in the effort. But then on those rest days, be just as aggressive as resting, because when we're in the gym, we're breaking down our muscle tissue, we're breaking down our muscle fibers. Like, we're actually doing a lot of damage to the body, but that's what we want while we're in there. Like, it's a good time to put the damage on the body. It's a good time to bring cortisol up. It's a good time to kind of be in that fight or flight, because it's acute. It's not for a chronic period of time. But on those days off, while you're resting, that is when the body is building the muscle, it's burning the body fat, it's, replenishing. I like to call it like recharging the batteries, right? Because, just like, anything else, like, you're not gonna leave your iPhone unplugged for a whole week, right? Like, why would you do that to the body? Like, you got to sleep, you got to take days off, you got to rest, do yoga, do stretching, do some type of, recovery work, because that is when we actually will change. It's not while we're in the gym. Because we're in the gym for what, 1 to 2 hours a day? Like, what do you do in the other 22 hours? Like, those are the hours that actually matter. Like, the rest days, the off days, the things you're doing in between the workouts, that's when you're actually going to get the progress and the transformation you're looking for.
I see somebody shaking their head, but they work out. They in the gym 7 days a week. See, I ain't saying no names.
I wonder who we're talking about.
Saying that somebody be in the gym 7 days a week. Rest don't really exist for this person.
A couple of those
But I
days
ain't saying
was
no
cardio.
names.
To be fair.
You're right.
But no, this
you are looking for fairness. Okay.
We're always going to justify it, right? We're always going to find a way to justify everything.
So
where you going? To the gym. Where you going? To the gym. Where you going? To the gym. Where to rest at?
No, my question is, who's in the gym? No, because I was with the membership years ago, way long ago. And you going to the gym? Yeah. Same time? Yeah, I'll be back. It's like, hey, but I mean, whatever motivates you to go to the gym, but get to that point. It's like, I want to let you finish because you were talking about something where your thing was. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's mental for me. So it's my break. Even like during COVID, right? I had the kids, school during the day, working 40 hours a week. I would literally wait until the middle of the night, because otherwise I'd have kids against the glass screaming like this, like, mommy. So I just would wait until like 1 a.m. when everybody was quiet and asleep. And so from 1 to 3, almost every night, and I would get this, Ryan's going to hate this because I probably got maybe 3 hours of sleep a night. But I got my training time then. Yeah, so that's basically my quiet time. The gym is my quiet time. So I'll go, and even if I'm just doing cardio, I do go every day, probably, mostly. This past week, though, I did not train 2 days because I was too tired. My body was like, no, man.
Body needed it. Body told you.
Body's calling. I'm telling you. Hey, Ryan, what are some of the recovery consumptions that you recommend, like post-workout, like in terms of those little healthy consumption breaks after you work out to kind of combat the
So actually one thing I'll touch on that makes sense here is the number one thing a lot of people think, because everyone's into all this like ice therapy and cold plunges and all stuff right now, and everybody thinks as soon as they get done training, that's like the first thing they want to do to speed up the recovery process. And kind of where I'll start with this is that's not what you want to do post-training. The ice bath is amazing. I'm a huge ice bath fan. I do the ice bath and the sauna almost nightly. But you want to have, especially when you're looking for a transformation, you're looking for, especially aesthetics, because a lot of people are training like hypertrophy style, which is, a very good way to train with progressive overload. But the ice bath, within, 2 to 3 hours, someone's up at 4, pre and post training will kind of blunt the hypertrophy there. So you don't want to do that. But the number one thing is, nutrition. Again, going back to nutrition, is making sure that the food sources you're getting in are going to be good quality food sources. And post-workout nutrition is very, very important. A lot of people, we've all been taught this, and even I believed in this for a very long period of time, is you have this like crazy short anabolic window where if you don't eat within this window, the gym didn't matter. You're going to lose all your gain.
30 minutes, right?
Right. There's like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. But realistically, you want to wait until your nervous system is calm, because your body can only do 2 things at once, or 1 thing at a time, right? It can't do 2 things at once. So if you just left, like, say, a crazy leg day, and you're just like, you're sweating and you're huffing, you're puffing, and you're still in this like fight or flight, you're feeling amazing, the last thing your body's ready to do is turn on digestion and digest your food. So like that might be an hour. Sometimes, you know, I've had leg days where it might be like an hour and a half until I eat, right? But you want to wait till that nervous system is calm. You know, so for those that are training 6-7 days a week that aren't training hard enough, you might be able to eat right away. But you want to be able to, you know, wait till that nervous system is kind of calm and you're kind of drop back down a little bit. And then at that point, you want to get the nutrition in. A lot of things that also kind of fall into this is, you know, steps to me are huge. You know, a lot of people don't think about steps. They're like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym and do cardio. And I'm like, well, where's your step count? They're like, well, I don't track steps. I just do 30, 40 minutes of cardio. I'm like, well, you're really not, you're going to do that the rest of your life. Like, I'm not getting on the Stairmaster 45 minutes a day the rest of my life, but I can walk 7, 8, 9,000 steps the rest of my life. So, you know, getting your steps in, you know, post-training will also kind of help bring the nervous system down a little bit, give you a little bit of calm. So that's a good thing to do post-training. You know, the other thing is, you know, a lot of people neglect stretching. They neglect, you know, such as like foam rolling or, you know, just even getting on the turf for 10 or 15 minutes after workout and just breathing, right? You know, because, you know, breath work is very important when it comes to recovery and bringing the nervous system down a little bit. And then, of course, you know, the number one thing is going to be rest and sleep, right? That is the number one recovery method that we have that nobody really takes advantage of. So, you know, when you can kind of get all of those into, you know, one pot and you're able to bring your nervous system down post-training, you're able to get good quality food sources in, you know, and ample amounts too. You know, a lot of people are always dieting, where realistically, like, you got to get some good food in post-training, right? You know, a lot of people are like, you know, carbs are the enemy. I'm like, that's the first thing you want to get into the body post-workout, right? You want to plenish the glycogen that you lost. And then, of course, you know, after that, like, take the rest of the day to relax. Like, let the body recover, let it do its thing. You know, kind of like Crystal touched on. She's like, I didn't go for 2 days because like I was exhausted. Well, that's your body saying, yo, back off a little bit, because if you want me to continue doing the things that you're demanding that I do, give me some time to recharge the battery so I can do this for you. Because if you don't do that, that's the number one thing that leads to burnout. So, you know, post-training, you know, you can incorporate a lot of those things, you know, in the mix. And, you know, post-workout recovery just doesn't mean that 30 minutes, that 45 minutes post-training. It means the rest of the day post-training. Like, how are you sleeping at night? Like, how are you winding down in the evenings? Like, how are you structuring your food the rest of the day? You know, like, because nutrition, again, you know, matters wholeheartedly. So you want to be able to, if you're following a certain caloric intake or a macro count, like, how are those adjusted throughout the day? Like, are you getting majority of your food in pre and post, or are you not eating much during the day, going to the gym on like 600 milligrams of caffeine and no food in your stomach, and then just waiting to just gorge later in the night? Like, so those are all kind of things you want to take into account, because everybody loves what I call the sexy stuff, which is the training, like how you look on Instagram, like how you look with your shirt off, like all that kind of stuff. Where again, I'm like, yo, if you really want to do the damn thing, like it's the non-sexy stuff that actually matters. It's the things that you when nobody's looking, right? That's where everything kind of falls into place. It's not that 1 to 2 hours in the gym and everybody's like, oh wow, you know, look, that dude's squatting this or that girl's doing this. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, maybe to certain people, but what really matters is how you're handling yourself on those other 22 hours out of the day and how you're recovering. And that's the most important piece of the puzzle for sure. You know, I'm very big on, like I said, like heat therapy. So like, you know, even sauna post-training, like go into the sauna 10, 15 minutes, like bring yourself down. Like if you actually train the way you're supposed to, you're going to be elevated post-training. Right. And then at that point, like you come out of the gym, and that's why we all feel like, you know, the Hulk or like a superhero, because we're so elevated, we're so hype. But realistically, at that point, it's like, okay, we spiked the cortisol, we got the heart rate pumping, we got ourselves in a good spot. Now it's time to kind of come back down and then let the body start the recovery process. Because the recovery process starts as soon as you walk out of that gym. You got to start turning them on and start focusing on things you need to do to actually do the things you want.
Right. Absolutely.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I was gonna say, one of the things people don't realize is for women, like I know my energy levels, they fluctuate throughout the month because of our cycles. And it's like, there are days when you will go in there, and I was extremely frustrated. I went in yesterday. I couldn't move what I normally move. Couldn't like, I was just depleted. I was like, no, this is not working. I got through my workout. I pushed through it. But at the end of it, I was like, I could have done better. I know I can lift more than that. I know I can, so it's like you're in your head as well. And I think part of that is physiological, but it's also all the things we have to do, especially if you're a mom, the things that you're not turning off, or sometimes the gym helps me turn them off because I can focus on this weight is this heavy. So I can focus on just that at that moment. But sometimes you can't. And so it's the things that you carry with you that keep you up at night and that contribute to you not sleeping like you should be. And one thing I will say that I discovered recently was the IV drip of magnesium. I took the supplements for a long time and that didn't help me at night. I was still awake, but the IV, I've been sleeping better than I have in a very long time.
Yeah, a lot of people don't absorb magnesium as much as they want, especially when you're getting like pill form. And this kind of goes with all supplements for the most part, because you got to digest the pills, the tablets, the capsules, like, everything that we take orally. So when you're doing something like that and you're getting your magnesium drip, it's intravenous, like that's straight to the system. So taking any type of supplement that you can, and what I'm about to say, I am not talking about steroids. That's one of the biggest myths in this industry. But taking like the magnesium, like glutathione, even like, let's say like L-carnitine or some other supplements that people are using, like getting those in, intravenously, or not intravenously, but getting those in like injectable. And then also like liposomal is a very good way to do that. There's a lot of companies out there now that are going into liposomal supplements, which is basically like water soluble. So you can, put these supplements into water and drink them. So you're getting digested a lot faster, because when it comes to supplements, it comes to nutrition, digestibility is the number one thing you want to look at, because if you're not digesting your supplements, you're not digesting your nutrients, you're not, partitioning these nutrients, and your guts are not in a good spot to be able to do that. Doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to change, nothing's going to work, because you want to be able to have that nutrient uptake. So when you're able to do that, through some of these methods like the IV drips or, getting certain supplements in liposomal, you're getting the full amount. Whereas like, say you take 600 magnesiums through a capsule, like by the time your body digests it, breaks it down, partitions it, you get it into your system, it's probably not the full amount. And if it is, it's not even getting into your system until, way later. So it also depends on your delivery system of how you're getting in your supplements, your nutrition as well.
Yeah, the IV tech said something like 15 to 20% of whatever you see on the capsule is actually what you're getting.
Isn't that crazy?
Liposomal or something like that, whereas a drip is like 95%. So that's the difference, and that's a difference I've been feeling in sleep. So
there's a lot of truth to that, and a lot of people, and that's why like you can't look at Instagram for your fitness advice and nutrition. Like, find certain people on there that know what they're talking about, and then follow them. But people just hear and see one thing on social media, and they're like, that's the answer. And I'm like, well,
right.
Okay, sure.
I don't know how much money I've wasted because of Instagram ads. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think we've all been
on supplements that didn't do anything, and I'm like, I don't feel a difference. Well, there's a reason. Now I know why.
Yeah, and that's why I just
money fast.
Good quality whole foods, nutrition first. Like supplements are exactly what they're called, supplements. Right? If you're not getting your nutrition in check, and you're not getting your training in check, and most importantly, if you're not getting your lifestyle in check, because that's the actual number one thing that you need to check the box. I don't really care how you diet or how you train. If you're not living the lifestyle that backs all that up, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to spin your wheels all day long. So, it's very important to, make sure that you're getting your nutrition dialed in, your training dialed in, your lifestyle dialed in. And then at that point, you want to start, adding a few things to the mix. Then supplements, I believe, are very important. But it also depends with, not to keep going on this, but it also depends, like, where are your labs? Like, what are you deficient with? Like, do you even know what you need to take? Like, that's the other thing. Like, I'm not wasting money if I'm just going to be like, oh, I'm going to take vitamin D just because I heard someone say that's good for you. Well, I mean, if you're efficient enough in it through your lab work, then you don't need to waste your money on that, right? I mean, there's no need to do that. So knowing where your labs are too is one thing that is incredibly important, especially when it comes to health and longevity.
So I was going to ask about, it ties into what you're saying as far as like knowing your labs and knowing the information for your individual body. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's important? clearly getting labs are important, but do you think a person should, seek the expertise of a dietitian to know what foods work well for their body and what doesn't?
I think that's very important, honestly. And through lab work, you can tell on kind of like, for the most part, where a lot of your deficiencies lie. And then when you see that, and especially if you know what you're looking for, then you can kind of look at someone's current nutrition and go, okay, well, this makes sense. Like, this is why cholesterol is insanely high, or this is why cholesterol is insanely low, or this is why certain lipid levels are where they are. But the number one thing when it comes to finding out like the foods that you need and the foods that you should have would be more so doing like a food sensitivities test. And I think that's very, very common because a lot of the foods, especially nowadays, are very high inflammatory. And we want to obviously bring down inflammation. That's the number one leading cause to a lot of people's issues and diseases and all the things that they do, which is why I always say like 99% of a lot of the people's problems can be solved with proper nutrition. Because the best medicine that we have access to is not what the doctor's giving you. It's the food that we put on our plates. Like if you are good with your nutrition, you shouldn't really be getting sick as much as you are. You really shouldn't be needing all these medications that you're on. But going back to kind of the inflammation, if you're really serious about your health and you're really serious about longevity, and, a lot of people are more so serious about aesthetics, which I get, because when you look good, you feel good, right? And vice versa. And that might be the catalyst that pushes you into health by just looking a certain way. But getting a food sensitivities test would fall in that line a little bit more, because what happens there is, it might be just one chemical that could be in the foods that we have that you don't even know you're having it's an irritant to you. Or there may be, a lot of people, especially in the bodybuilding world, egg whites is like the number one thing people throw around. And it's like, well, you may have an intolerance to it that you don't even know about. And that could actually be inflaming you and not even doing a service to you. Maybe, I get a lot of individuals that have, issues or whatnot, or inflammation or bad digestion. And it's as simple as like removing the skin off potatoes. So when you get a food sensitivities test and you're matching that with lab work, that right there is the ultimate, because then okay, this is where we're deficient. And then we look at the food sensitivities test and go, oh, this is why you feel like trash all the time, because these 4 foods that are, marked red that are high inflammatory for you are the 4 staples that you've been having for the past 2 to 3 years. So just removing those and replacing them, or even just bringing amounts down a little bit, you don't even really need to change much. And then all of a sudden now you're like, oh my gosh, like my gut feels good. I'm dropping weight. I feel great. Like my energy levels are high. And all we did was just pinpoint some of the foods that were inflammatory to you and remove those markers.
KFC, Burger King, and McDonald's.
Those are probably all on the high irritant list.
Right.
None of them. None of them.
Story about McDonald's. My kids have not ever gone, right? Or they had not ever gone before their grandparents. I will not take them to fast food. Have
Love
never
that.
taken them
Good.
to fast food.
Love that.
Good.
And they went one time, and my son, they know like they're not supposed to eat there. And so my son, his grandma took him there, and he's like, Mommy said we're not supposed to eat this. And she's like, well, it's okay for this time or whatever. And he cried because he's like, Mommy said I'm not supposed to eat that. And then he said, Mommy, I tried it and it wasn't good. I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, those are sad meals, not happy meals.
Right.
The fact that he knows that young is awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Kids are
amazing.
very influential. Like,
Yeah.
It's very kind of a touchy topic to a lot of people, with kids and nutrition,
Yeah.
But that's when they learn. They're sponges at that age. Like, my nephew, I have 2 nephews, and they're 5 and 7, and like they watch everything you do. Like they notice the difference when they come over and they see how I eat, they see how other people eat. Like, they pick up on that. And when you can get a kid at that age to start understanding, within reason, right? Obviously kids are kids. Like, you gotta have a little fun here and there, but at the end of the day, like when they can start understanding like nutrition a little bit, that's going to carry over into their, teenage years, into their, adulthood. And, sometimes, and it's sad because, I see it a lot, especially with a lot of my clients, and some of their kids, and just, out and about. But by the time they actually learn, if they're not taught at a young age, and I'm not saying like we're treating these kids like little mini bodybuilders, but like, at the end of the day, if they know and they start to understand good versus bad nutrition, and like fruit's good, vegetables are good, like, certain things are good, like that's going to carry over, right? Because a lot of times, and I see this all the time, by the time they realize that, if they're not taught young enough, it's too late. And then try to change someone's behavior at that point, that's hard to do.
Definitely.
Well, as we're saying that, this is a bit off topic, but I have this conversation with one of my friends consistently about just traditions that families have or used to have and have lost. Because when you talk about the kid, right, for them to witness, someone they respect or their guardian, their parent in the kitchen and participating in that healthy lifestyle goes a long way. And so when you think about the kid who consistently walks into a McDonald's with their dad or their mom, or walks into a Pizza Hut with their dad and their mom, or walks into whatever fast food restaurant, in comparison to not witnessing them walk into a kitchen, go into the refrigerator and pull out stuff that they're going to prepare and actively participate in the preparation of that food, right? And understanding what that food does for them. Like that's a huge gap in several generations understanding the importance of health, because that's lost.
Agreed
I agree with that.
Yeah, and we're so disconnected from our food too, right? Like, I think when all of my kids had various times when they decided to be vegan, just because they realized what something was. So it's like, bacon is pig, this is a cow, right? So like that connection, because we just get it at the supermarket, it's not like tied to an animal in their mind. But then when they made that connection, like, I don't want to eat that. It was short-lived because they still like bacon.
Doesn't like bacon, right?
Right. But for a little bit, they were like, I don't want to eat that, because I associate that now with an animal. And I think back in the day, people used to have more of that connection and to know like these vegetables were picked by somebody. They were, cultivated and all of those things. So it just gives you more of an appreciation, I think, for the variety that you need and where your food sources are coming from.
I agree with that.
And to add to what Active was talking about with their coming up, if you played sports as a kid, soccer, football, whatever it was, baseball, and it's so important to get into those sports if you can, as kids, whether it's free or if they can do private, okay, well, that's great. But growing up, I was playing soccer since 7 years old, 8. But it was always fresh oranges by the field. And we always, one coach we had about 15 years, always a spool of raw honey, always. So right now, at my age now, every morning it's dry toast, raw honey, my espresso, and about 30 minutes later, I'm out to go work out. And the earlier you can get that out of the way, you will sleep better at night. Trust, because you've been up for so long.
Yes.
12 to 14. By the time you spend 12 hours to 14 hours with your regular day, you're going to bed early. Your kids may be hyped, but you're going to bed early. That's all I'm going to say. I changed my entire way of working. I used to be that midnight worker, proud to be at 1 a.m., checking in. What the hell's that about? I'm dying, actually. And I'm like, no. So I'm flipping it. So every morning, it's the same. I mean, I'm on like 7 days a week. It's the same dry toast, the same raw honey, not sugar honey, raw filtered. Okay. And then boom, and then my shot, and I'm off. And the energy lasts. And around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, one more shot. And I still go to bed early. People are like, that's a lot of caffeine, those Cuban espressos. No, when your body's very active, you're going to go to sleep. Trust. And so, but trust me, your grocery, I'm not talking about with children, different world. It's just my world because I don't have it. But I'm saying that that's my schedule. It's consistent and it's worked.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the thing, finding what works for you and being consistent with it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But anyway, so I know granola's great. Granola's great. Antioxidants, strawberries, berries. Everything you can do to help you fight and build your immunities. I mean, it's a choice. If you're going to eat meats, try to get them as lean as possible. I mean, we know these things, but yet it is what it is.
Everybody, because I feel like our food system is really a hindrance in some ways. I went to Europe. I went to Italy, and I grew up in Europe mostly, right? But I went to Italy probably 10 years ago and was there for a week for work. And during that whole time, I ate all the tiramisu, I ate all the pasta, I ate all the pizza. wine, fish, all of it. But I was doing a lot of walking also.
Sure.
I came back having lost weight.
Mhm.
And I was like, how did this happen? Because if I had eaten this here, it would have been a whole different story. And I think they were, talking about the fresh vegetables. And this one place we went to eat,
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like literally a family's backyard. And they were bringing out this freshly cooked meals that
Yep.
this old Italian woman made. And it was amazing. But it's that I think we have so much processing in our foods. We have so much
That's what it is.
chemicals, pesticides. And there's one they just legalized recently that's been illegal for a very long time, but I don't know if y'all heard about that, but they can now spray that on everything. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
been linked to a lot of health issues.
Cancers and
in the
stuff, yeah.
past. So
Food system here is very different than overseas, and because I get clients
Very
all the time, like, hey, I'm going to be gone for the next 10 days. Like I'm going, here, there, and wherever. And, they come back and I mean, they're like, honestly, do you want to live over there? Because you're in much better shape coming back than you are with, even the foods that we're doing here. It's just the way that they prepare them over there. Like a lot of stuff's fresh, a lot of stuff's raw. Like a lot of stuff is, it's not processed like we have here. Everything here is processed and red dyes and all just, it's a mess. And even to the point where, when you go to the, grocery store or the supermarket, wherever you go, and you're like, oh, I'm going to get organic. It's like, well, I mean, are you really? Like you're paying the money for what you think you're getting, but is it really? So knowing where your food comes from and knowing where you're getting it is very important. Which unfortunately we don't all have, access to be able to do that. But, knowing is very important. Food quality and selection is important.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
One thing I wanted to say too, in terms of the differences, is growing up in Europe, I would always see old people everywhere riding bikes and walking, like everywhere. And they had these family marches, they call them Volksmarches in Germany, where we would go and do like either a 6-mile or a 10-mile walk with my parents, or sometimes they would run the 20K and we would walk the 6 or 10. And along the way, you get checkpoints, and you see whole families walking together. They'll stop halfway, eat something, continue to walk, and then you get a prize at the end, whether it's a Stein mug or a little medal or whatever. But it was just something that they would all come together and do on the weekends, which I thought was really cool. But I don't see that here. I don't see a lot of old people riding bikes or doing things like that. So I think that's something that definitely is aspirational.
Yeah. I mean, again, it all boils down to your lifestyle. I mean, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it, how much you put into it. And being active like that, especially a lot of, the other countries, like they're walking everywhere, they're active, they're taking, these rest days, like they're doing all the things that we all should be doing. Right. I mean, kind of
Right.
like learned. Yeah.
I mean,
So
it's
what do you-
directly connected to the mentality of the individuals too, their cultural background and their mentality. Because I can speak like on my mom and my dad. Right, I remember coming home to see my mom and my dad, and my mom and my dad are both sitting on the porch, inactive. That's what they do 7 days a week. And so it takes a toll on their body and it takes a toll on their mind. And it's indicative of the society that we're in. Because when I recall going to bury my grandmother in Haiti, I saw a woman who was way older than my mom, right? But physically way more capable than my mom at her age right now. I mean, had a bucket on her head, going down a sloped hill to go grab water to bring back up the hill to go into the house. And she's older than my mom currently is now, but my mom can't do that now. Right. And so it's a mentality, it's environmental, right? All those things coupled. And when we think about where we're at, we could talk about all these things all day, and all the information is readily available for us in this society. But that mentality and the willingness and ability to apply that knowledge is so far in between. You're just like, I understand why we are where we're at, because there isn't a real willingness to apply that discipline and knowledge that we have.
Or we have access to all of this information, and it's just, how do you distill it, right? And I think maybe that's the importance, and that's where a coach comes in. It's like, because there's so much out there, what's real, what's not now, which ones apply to me, which ones don't.
Right. No, but look what you just said. The coach, right?
Yeah.
You can suggest and ask, hey, this coach, and more people, because of their mentality, will be like, I'm going to pay him to do what? I do that when I go in, right? Like, I could do that by myself. I don't need to pay him or pay her. And you're like, but the time, the patience, right? That's required, and the consistency that's required. That's what you need a coach for. Not
and the accountability.
Right.
That part. That part.
Right. When people say, man, I need a partner, you're like, hey, that your coach is your partner. Right. Mm-hmm. And if you get one, you're going to get the consistency that you're looking for and the results that you're looking for. But because of your mentality, the first thing you're going to say is, I can't afford it, or I don't need them. I could go. You're like, no, like, you need somebody else to hold you accountable and steer you in the right direction if your desire is to be as healthy as you say you want to be.
To that point, what do you think separates a good coach from a great coach?
Oh, all right. So I think, a good coach is somebody that I believe, is going to give you a good program. It's going to give you good nutrition. It's going to give you good training. It's going to give you a good layout for what you need to do to kind of get started. And it's going to be a good path for you to follow, right? And a good coach is going to know, okay, this is where you need to be, where you should be, where we're trying to go. But I think a great coach is a individual that is going to be able to communicate that to you and get you to actually follow through with it. Because, again, a good coach can give you a plan. It might be the plan that you need. It may be, man, if you follow this, like, you're going to get to your goals, right? And they might have a track record of giving out, like, the ideal program for you. But I think where a good coach stops and where a great coach comes in is a good coach may not have the ability to be able to communicate that to you to get you to be accountable to follow through. I think a great coach is going to come in and say, okay, we see that we're having some issues here. This is what we need to do for you so we can get you to be accountable here and we can get you to actually follow through and get to the goals you want to get to. So I think communication, honestly, is what separates that, because I obviously have a lot of friends that coach in the industry. I know a lot of the coaches in the industry. I get a lot of clients that have been with other coaches in the industry, and I look at some of the plans and I see them, I'm like, man, I would set you up pretty much the same. Like, nothing here is terrible, but like, what's the main problem? There's I just can't lock in. It just seems too difficult. And I'm like, okay, so like, what do we need to do as a great coach? You think, what do we need to do to be able to get this client to actually reach these goals? And I think that is where, a coach is more of not someone that just like gives you food, takes away food, gives you training, takes away training. A great coach is going to come in and say, okay, you're basically a conduit of information, and you need to be able to find a way to get that information to that client to where they're like, got it. Now I understand what I need to do to make this happen. And I think, to kind of piggyback off of that a little bit, I do think there's a lot of coaches out there in the industry. And I've been guilty of this before. I've been in the industry for, coaching since 2016. And I definitely coach a lot differently now than I did when I first got started. But I think a lot of coaches are just like, okay, here's everything. And a client gets that and they go, I have to do all this to be able to, I just saw on Instagram, this was going to take 12 weeks and this was easy.
Right.
Where, it's me, we're like, okay, well, perfect body's not going to be built in 12 weeks, first and foremost, right? I work with a lot of people that 6-month commitments, because I'm trying to change your life, not just your look for your wedding coming up in 3 months. But where you want to be there is, don't give them everything up right out the gate. That's going to overwhelm the client. They're going to come out of the gate super motivated, right? They always do. Like, every client, you could give them 1,000 things to do and they're going to be hyped. But after that first 1 to 2 weeks, it's a wrap. It's over, right? But if you're like, hey, let's focus on this. I just want you to get steps. I just want you to focus on going to bed at this time and getting up at this time. And outside of that, like, get as much as the meal plan as you can. And let's just start there for this week. Let's see where you are. All right, let's dial it in a little bit. Now, let's start adding in a little bit more aggressive training, or now let's start getting a little bit more water in. Like, you got to go, in my opinion, as a great coach, you have to go in almost like baby steps with a lot of people. Because again, if you give them everything all up front, it's too overwhelming. And I think, right now, obviously, and everybody's on these like morning routines and all this stuff. And I'm like, bro, nobody is doing a 2-hour morning routine. Like, these people have kids, they have jobs, they have no. So instead of picking 10 things to do to get ready for the day, pick 1, pick 2, and double down on that until that becomes consistent and that becomes like clockwork. And then at that point, all right, cool. You got that under wraps. Now let's add in a 3rd step. You got that done, bet. Now let's add in a 4th step. And then over time, a great coach is going to get you to understand, wow, you changed my life because you gave me these, you instilled these qualities and these habits that have now turned into such a routine that they're sustainable and repeatable. You give somebody something that's not sustainable and not repeatable, how do you expect them to follow through? I wouldn't follow through. That's insane, right? So I think being able to lead somebody just right to be able to start somewhere and double down on the basics instead of all this advanced guru stuff that we read online. We don't need that. Double down on the basics, few steps at a time, get started. And I think a great coach is going to be able to get you to follow through with that throughout the course of the program.
It's amazing. That is amazing.
Makes sense. So how does I know you've competed before, how does your personal bodybuilding training, how does that influence how you train your clients?
That's a really good question. So when I was bodybuilding, I probably was training everybody like they were bodybuilding too. But now, obviously all the time, knowledge, and experience that I've, had personally in the industry, especially with injuries and bounce backs and comebacks and everything else, I'm very relatable to a lot of the clients because I've had to start from scratch. Like right now, after my shoulder replacement, this is my 2nd week back in the gym in a year, right? So I'm starting at ground zero with everybody else. So all my clients that are at that, I'm right there with all of them, right? Or a majority of them, because I have a lot of rock stars too that are just very advanced. But I think for me, it's I've learned just through all of the things that I've done and experienced through bodybuilding, through the functional training that I've done, through all the methods that I've gone through. I just have such a plethora of, different methods for different people. And I think to pigeonhole everybody as like a bodybuilder, you can't do that. And I think that also separates a good coach from a great coach going back, because you can't train everybody the same. Everybody is different. Everybody is custom. Everybody has different goals. Like for instance, right now, like my goal is getting my physique back, getting my muscle back. I'm about 20 pounds down. So my, goal this year is to get that back, where that's not all my clients' goals, right? So I'm not going to train them the same way that I'm training. I'm going to hopefully instill the same mindset that they need, because no matter what phase you're in, the mindset needs to be the same. But the way I train my clients is, what are their goals, right? Like, what are their specific goals, and what do we need to do to get them to get there? Because everybody's different. I don't have one client that's training the same as the next, because everybody's different. Everybody's physique's different. Everybody's genetics are different. Like, everybody is different. So I think kind of the short answer here is, my training is set for like my personal goals, and my clients' training is set for their personal goals. But since I have been through so much myself, I'm able to relate on such different levels, right? I have guys that want to put on lean tissue. Cool. I've been there before. I know exactly what we need to do. This is how we're going to make it happen. I have clients that are like, hey, I need to lose 20, 40 pounds. I'm like, okay, well, we're not training like the dude that's competing in 6 weeks. We're going to train like the dude that needs to lose 20 to 40 pounds, right? So we're going to train a little bit different. Intensity might be different. The way the workouts are set up are a little bit different. So my training and my clients' training are very, very different. Learning to separate that, over the years was something that I've grown into as a coach, because again, everything I do is custom. When someone signs up with me, they log into the app and they're like, yo, coach, there's nothing in here. I'm like, yeah, no, like, I got to build it for you. Like, this is custom. If that's what you want, I can just give you my stuff or give you John's stuff this time last week, but that's not what you're paying me for. So it's very specific to the client. But the fact that, again, I've been able to go through the many stages and phases throughout the course of improvement seasons, preps, recovery seasons, health seasons, I'm able to provide that to a lot of my clients. Does that kind of make sense? Answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And so other thing I would say is what I've seen a lot in that space is, and I've probably been a victim of it before, like, here's this plan, follow this and you'll get these results. It's like very cookie cutter, and it's like, this is, if you do this, you're going to look just like me. If you do this, you're going to grow this, you're going to do that. But what happens is, I think you go into it with those expectations and you don't get there because it's, to your point, it's not tailored to you, the level that you're at,
Yep.
how much muscle mass you have on your legs, or whatever, and where you're starting at. So I think that's a big misconception out there. I would say in the fitness space is there's so many people out there selling this 12-week plan, to your point, or this like 6-week plan to your beach body. And I really wish there was more education out on there to help people.
And that's what I tell people when they sign up, because they're like, all right, every I'm pigeonholing, but like a majority of people that come and they sign up, everybody just wants to get shredded. They just want to get peeled. They want to get lean, right? And they come to me and they're like, if this is my goal, I want to get as lean as I can. And then I look at like what they're doing, and I look at where their food is, and I look at where their training is, and I'm like, all right, just so you know, like, that's not the first thing we're going to do, because the first thing we're going to do is establish your baseline. Like, you're already so low in the hole. I can't bring you down any lower. I'm not here to damage your metabolic health. I'm here to make you live longer. I'm here to make you perform better. I'm here to make you healthy. I'm not here to just say, cool, Crystal, let's just get shredded in the next 6 weeks. I'm just going to bring you down. You're at 1,000 calories. I'm bringing you down to 800. Like, no, because a lot of people, and I'll be very honest, like, some people get discouraged when I get on these calls with them, because, I explain to them, I'm like, it's going to take you a lot longer than you think, because you're not getting a plan tomorrow and we're jumping into a diet. Like, you're already so low. We're going to have to take the next 6 to 8 weeks to actually feed up, because I have to be able to pull from something. So if your calories aren't high enough, sorry, like, your timeline just got extended 8 weeks, right? And people don't want to hear that, because everybody wants Amazon Prime. I want this tomorrow. And I'm like, well, if you don't give a shit about your health, like, you can go on Instagram and pick plenty of coaches that don't care about that, but that's not what you're going to get with me. Like, right. Sorry, we're not a good fit. And I think that, for people, they have to realize that, you have to have a baseline. Like, I coach through a 5-phase system, and the first thing I do, I call it the Oracle phase. It's where we sit down and figure out what we need to do to get your baseline. And then we go into the bricklayer phase. That's where we stack the bricks and build the foundation. Once we get to those 2 phases, and your metabolism is in a good spot, your calories are in a good spot, you're feeling good, then we can get the business. But we got to establish that baseline first. And I think the biggest thing that is kind of a misconception there is, when people hear that, they're like, great, so I'm going to get fat for the next 8 weeks and not be able to do what I want to do, and then we can start? Like, this is ridiculous. And I'm like, well, realistically, once you start doing the things you need to do and actually feeding yourself for your goals, you're going to tighten up through this process. Like, I can't tell you how many people come to me and they look at the meal plan, they're like, I can't eat all this. And I'm like, you'll figure it out, because you need it. Like, here's how we'll make it work. And then after 1 or 2 weeks, they're like, my hunger's coming up. I'm super hungry. And I'm like, yeah. And we're like, what, 500-600 calories higher than where you were when you first came to me, because we got to feed that metabolism. Like, if you're not feeding that metabolism and getting that body happy and healthy, body's not going to respond for you. So you need to do the things that the body needs first. And once you get there, then at that point, it's like, okay, like, we went from 1,200 calories when you signed up to, 2,200 calories, and you're leaner and your energy's better, your feedback's better, you're sleeping better, like, everything's in a good spot, labs are good, you're optimal. Now at this point, you want to get peeled? I'll push it. We'll drop the hammer and we'll do it. But like, now I know that I can do that because we're in a good spot. We're optimal. If you're not optimal, you're not in a good spot when you start, you can't expect to take yourself to the next level when you're not giving your body what it needs to get there. So I think, a lot of people's misconception is less food, more movement. And I'm like, realistically, I'm giving you no cardio and probably twice the amount of food that you had. We're going to respond.
Eating is important. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah. And like, he doesn't want to eat and get in good shape. Like, feed me more and get me peeled. Like, sign me up. Like, I'm not trying to be miserable and get lean. Like, doesn't feel it's not good to look a certain way and feel like crap. Like, no, I want to feel good and look good. Like, let's do both. And we can if we do it the right way.
You want to get started on the lightning round?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So for the lightning round, we have a series of questions. I'll start with the first one.
Okay.
What's the hardest workout you swear by?
Ooh, okay. So the hardest workout that I swear by, and let me ask you this: is this like a cardio workout or like a strength training workout, or does it want both?
Let's do cardio.
Okay, 4x4. The 4x4 method to me is one of the hardest things that you can do, and that's gonna be more VO2 max based. Because VO2 max, again, I'm big into longevity and lifespan, and that's gonna be one of the things that's gonna promote that the most. And the 4x4 is you can do it on the track if you're a runner. You can do it on, you can even do it in the elliptical if you're an elliptical person, or whatever you want to do it. But you're gonna go 4 minutes, like all out, like as hard as you can, like to the point where like after that 4 minutes, you're like, holy crap, I'm done. Then you're gonna bring the tempo down for 4 minutes and just catch your breath, whether it's walking, whether it's just laying on your back on the dirt, whatever you got to do to catch your breath. After that 4 minutes is up, you're going 4 minutes hard again. You're doing 4 rounds of that. So at the end of it, it's 16 minutes, all out, just crazy aggression. I give that to some people, and I go through that a lot with running and everything, and it will absolutely humble and smoke you to the point of no return. But you can make it through that, and you can continue with that through the course of training. VO2 max, cardio endurance, heart health, like the ultimate thing that you can do for longevity VO2 max. And it's intense. And it doesn't sound like much. 4 rounds of 4 minutes, try it.
It don't sound like much. I almost fell out in the booth with the friend.
What is the most underrated exercise?
I think the most underrated exercise is going to be lunges. I'm a huge fan of lunges, whether they're weighted or just body weight. Because again, kind of like we talked about in the beginning with, going back to longevity, like, your body fat, or not body fat, but your body mass with your legs and your muscle mass is the number one thing that's going to, protect your longevity, right? So when it comes to lunges, it is the ultimate. There's multiple different ways you can do them. There's, obviously you have weights, you have non-weights, and like you can go out there and you don't even need anything. You can just walk outside right now and just lunge the block or lunge the track. If you do that enough, you're going to build your legs, you're going to build glutes, you're going to build core, you're going to build stamina. I think lunges are the number one most underrated exercise for male and female across the board.
My track coach made us do lunge the block the first day of track practice.
So you know what I'm talking about, right? When you're lunging that track,
that's lunge the block. I was like, oh, no, we lunged the length of the school, like it was square, rectangles. It was like down, no running, lunge all the way. I was death. When you said lunge the block, I went right back there. Go ahead, see.
What's the biggest nutrition myth?
Ooh, I think the biggest nutrition myth is that carbs make you fat. I think people that are afraid of carbohydrates, and they have to like suffer without carbs to lose weight is the biggest misconception for sure. I think, at the end of the day, it's, if anyone has issue with that, it's just your inability to adhere to what your macro count for your carbs are. Carbs are amazing. Carbs are the number one fuel source for the human body. And when you pull those out, and you wonder why, you might progress for 2 to 3 weeks, and all of a sudden it stops and you can't build it back. You're slowing that metabolism down. You're not feeding that metabolism. Carbs are good. And I want to repeat that again for everyone that's listening. Carbs are good. You need them. So I think people that are like, carbs are the enemy, your inability to, shuttle or kind of govern those carbs is the enemy. So you're the enemy, not the carbs. So carbs are amazing. Huge.
I think the people that fall prey to that carbs as the enemy are the ones that are not working out.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people that give any type of pushback in the health and fitness industry are the ones that aren't doing it right. Because if you're doing it right, you're not giving any pushback. And to go back into the carbs a little bit, like fruit, people need to get their fruit in. Everybody's like, I can't eat fruit. It's got all this sugar.
Good sugar.
Let me show you some of these clients that I have that are pilled to the gills, and the majority of their carbs are coming from fruit, especially the berry families and a lot of low glycemics. And I mean, even bananas pre-post training, like fruit is good. Like those out there that are not eating fruit, like you're wrong. Fruit is good. Trust me. Micronutrients, everything that you get from fruit is amazing. And that's a really, really good carb source.
I think this was all really good Atkins marketing, probably. Or keto, right? That's where I come from. But question, follow on.
Okay.
Is there carbs and bad carbs, or are there good carbs and bad carbs?
No, I think that there's certain times for certain carbs, but I don't think that there's anything such as good carbs and bad carbs. I think there's certain timings for carbs and certain amounts for certain carbs, but everybody's different, right? So if you were to label, oh, don't eat bananas, or too high glycemic, you can't do that, you're not going to lose weight on it. Cool. Like that's not the case. Like maybe some people have certain irritants to bananas or are a little sensitive to them, but for the most part, there is no such thing as good carbs and bad carbs, unless you're getting processed stuff. But I don't think we're talking about that. So I think that negates that.
All right, Fool, you're
Okay.
up.
What's Akafu doing on the riding horse? What's going down over here?
The kitchen's open. The kitchen's opening on the other side. So I will
Nice.
place where it's open.
As we're talking about food, I think it's time to eat, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
What is your favorite post-workout meal?
Ooh, okay. So my favorite post-workout meal, and again, I'm very basic. I like consistency. I do a lot of same things. I like beef, rice, and pineapple post-training. Some people that want to maybe a little bit leaner meal, we could just do like lean protein, maybe like some chicken or something with chicken, rice, and pineapple.
Hold on. What did I say? Beef, rice,
Pineapple. Yes. Try it. But pineapple to me is one of the best things you can get in post-workout, because what a lot of people don't know is there's a certain makeup in pineapple, which is called bromelain. And bromelain is an enzyme that basically helps with digestion. So, when we're, trying to, obviously, we want the most nutrition uptake that we can get post-training. Adding some pineapple into that post-training meal is just going to speed up that digestion process. We're going to be able to partition the nutrients a little bit better. So adding pineapple in post-workout, and this could be, you could do a protein shake and, some sourdough and pineapple on top of that if you want, but getting pineapple in with your post-workout is one of the things that I definitely swear by, especially those that may have digestion issues. Pineapple is an amazing carb. It's an amazing fruit, and it's an amazing post-workout addition to any of your post-workout meals.
Okay, we have motivation or discipline.
Discipline, hands down. I actually just did a reel on this the other day, and everybody lives off motivation. Everybody talks about it. Nobody talks about discipline, because discipline is hard. And the reason that I swear by discipline, and kind of just like what I talked about on the reel, because I had a conversation with the gentleman when I was leaving the gym, and it was all about motivation. And he was saying on certain days he doesn't come in, doesn't do this, and doesn't do that, and that's because he's just no discipline there, right? Because the number one thing that I think I can say to kind of relate to that, or relate this to everybody, is you have days you want to show up, and you have days you don't want to show up. You have days you feel good. You have days you don't feel good. You have days that you're willing to put in the work, and days that you don't, days that you're comfortable, days that you're not. But the days that you don't want to show up, the days that you don't want to put in the work, the days that you don't want to make shit happen, those days outweigh the days that you do tenfold. So if you're not disciplined, you're not showing up on those days. And when you're not showing up on those days, guess what you're not also doing? Being consistent. And consistency is key. So if you're not, living by not living by discipline, and you're solely living on motivation, good luck with the consistency in getting to your goals, because I'll be very honest, it's not going to happen, because let's just be very honest. Like, there's 52 weekends in a year, right? And when do people, lose motivation to stay on their program? On the weekends, when they're running around and they have all this temptation and whatnot. So if you're not able to stay disciplined and locked in on the weekends, that's over 100 days out of the year, you're not locked in on your plan. That's a third. That's 1/3 of the whole year. Like, discipline over motivation, easiest question ever. 100%.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. And that's why I still train on the weekends.
There you go.
I love it.
Sure.
The weekend is where you stack progress, because you got to stack days. If you stack days Monday through Friday, and then you throw it off on the weekends, one day of say you just eat whatever you want all day Saturday, that digestion gets bogged down. Well, by the time you clear all of that out and get back into like the fat burning stage, that's 5 or 6 days from then, right? By the time that all gets cleared out, and then what? Well, now it's Friday, party time. Right now we're right back to square one. And then we wonder why 6-8 weeks in, we're not getting any progress. Those that lock in on the weekends are those that progress 100%. That's where you're stacking your days. And you gotta stack days. If you don't stack days, you're just stacking weeks. again, good luck. It's not going to happen. Like you got to work for it. You have to work for it, and staying locked in on the weekends is the number one time to do that. That's also my biggest pet peeve in coaching is working with grown men and women that just decide on the weekends they don't want to do shit, and then they come in on Monday checking in, and then they're just complaining about it. And I'm like, we're too old to do this. Like, we're all grown men and grown women. Like, lock in on the weekends. Like, yeah, it's tough, but I mean, everything that is worth working for is going to be tough, right? Worth having is going to work for it.
Now, Ryan, we're all just big kids trying to be adults.
Now, I mean, I'm, enjoy yourself, right? You can still do it and still stay within reason, but you have to, here we go. I have this one client, just periodically, just the weekends get him. But when he checks in after a bad weekend, he owns it. And he's fine with it. He goes, hey, I know I've been out myself back. I'm good. I know we're not going to change anything this week. And honestly, doesn't make it. I'm like, bro, this is awesome. Like, as long as you own it and you know that, like, we're going to keep it the same this weekend, or this week, but this weekend coming up, let this be one of the good weekends, right? Like, let's kind of minimize the bad weekends. As long as people own it and they have ownership, I'll coach you all day long. I'm just looking for you to be honest, looking for you to show up. People make mistakes. That's how you learn. Right. And I'm definitely not looking for anyone to be perfect when they work with me. And I have a phrase that I use all the time. You don't need straight A's, but you damn sure need perfect attendance. You don't have to be 100% every time, but just show up every single day. You show up for me every single day. You do the things that you need to do. We're going to get along very fine. Nobody, myself included, is not showing up at 100% 7 days a week. Right. But if you can show up at 80%, I want 100% of that 80% on Wednesday when you show up, and we're good. That's all I ask for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, the word of today is discipline, ladies and gentlemen. So write that down, put it on your wall, and make sure that you attribute that to Ryan and the original audio podcast.
Not onus?
The onus is on you to stay disciplined. There, I use it in a sentence for you.
There you go.
We're going to have to learn onus.
I really appreciate you guys having me on, and Crystal thinking about me and giving me the opportunity to come on and do this. I very definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for hanging out with us on a Sunday.
This has been awesome. This has been great.
Yeah, I know our audience learned a lot. I know we did too. So appreciate you very, very much.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Catch you next time.
All right. I'll see you guys. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Ryan.
You got it.
All right, fellas. Have a great week. I know that we're over a little bit, so
a little bit.
We won't jump into original audio today. We'll save that for LPZ when he's back.
Right. We got a great one next Saturday too.
Have a
next
good
Sunday.
one. So I'm excited for that one for next week.
Yeah.
Are we
Y'all
still
stay
live?
good?
Are we still live?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Y'all stay good, stay disciplined, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Sir.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.